during the day for my corporate world.
Okay.
And there we go. All right. So then, let's see. On top of that, I am an influencer with Pharmacy, which is a company out of Europe that does cleans skincare, cosmetics, fragrances, all of that. I've been with them for 6 years. In addition to that, I just joined as a brand promoter for LEMD, which is a women-owned telehealth company that works with peptide therapy. And I am a certified business strategy and mindset coach.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, you've got a lot of irons in the fire, my friend.
I do.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad to have you here. Did you get a chance to watch the work from Monday?
I did. It's fabulous.
Okay. Did you have any takeaways or any aha moments?
You broke up there for a second. What was that?
I said, did you have any takeaways or aha moments from that first bit of work?
So I do a lot of deep dive as it is being a mindset coach. So I do a lot of that. I do love the prompts that were given. So I dove into that. So I think where I am right now, or where I was before we started all of this, was I had so much going on in my mind. I am a collaborator, so I collaborate with a lot of people, and there's always these opportunities. There's with these different ways to go. There's these things to do strategy-wise and all of that. So for me, it's really focusing on a few things rather than all the things. And knowing that just because I can do stuff doesn't mean that I need to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So did it help you clear out some of the thoughts in your brain of where you're spending your time versus where your time would be better spent and what you can offload or delegate? Because it sounds like you probably have a team to some degree or something you can delegate to.
Not necessarily the delegation part, because I have that pretty dialed in. I think so. I have been doing this for like 2.5 years. This thing called Saturday Morning Breakfast Club, and I did it for all influencers in pharmacy. I offered it for free. And basically it was about an hour on Saturday. I had changed it from every Saturday about a year and a half ago or about a year ago to every first Saturday of the month. But I was offering that, and it was basically mindset coaching. I would do it like as a group, and then I would do a hot seat with like a one-on-one. So I have been really trying to figure out if that's something that I want to do. So through that process of what you offered, I think I pretty much settled to the point that I am not going to be doing that anymore. It's something that I enjoy doing, but I feel like it's sticking me in areas that I need to open up in other areas.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So when you come to your decision making, are you an aha, like right away instant, or do you have to kind of ride that emotional wave out? Have you learned that about yourself intuitively?
So yeah, I do. What I do is I sit with it. I don't just make knee-jerk decisions. I continue to ask questions. Why, and why? Because for me, I'm 55, so I've got a lot of history, right? There's a lot of baggage, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot going on. So if there are times when I know, especially out of when I get still and I meditate on things, there are sometimes that it's like, you can't sway me. I know that I know that I know. But then there are other times when things come to me on big decision-making things that I'm just kind of like, okay, let me sit with this for a minute. Let me just test this out and make sure that it's not let's see what I want to call this, like false confirmation, like it's something, or confirmation bias, right? So I do sit with that for a little bit.
That's amazing. Yeah. And focusing on not being reactive, but being sure you're responding to everything in the proper space and the mindset and the integrity that you want to show up in. It sounds like that's super important to you, especially for what you do, and as many irons as you have in the fire. You don't really, I don't want to say time, but you don't want to spend your energy having to go back and course correct because you reacted instead of responded. So that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad you had that insight and that breakthrough. I know that so just a little bit of insight too. I've been personally working through a lot of this for the last year. And so it's always like we come to these things through trial and error and through messing it up. And so
Hmm.
cool to hear that you had that thought process and you understood that you're supposed to kind of let that go and move forward. So is
Hmm.
that just free up some space in your personal life, or do you have another work project you're going to work on?
Um, I'm not sure where it's all headed at the moment. I am in a transition stage, I feel like, um, where I'm being called to a higher level or another level. So I think that it's just going to create space for me to kind of ride it a little bit and see where it's going to take me. Because I don't I don't half-ass do anything. So when I came to these calls on the first Saturday of the month, like I would prepare like I was had a sellout crowd of 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I would usually have 30, 40, 50 in there, but I mean, I really brought the stuff. And I think a lot like you and what I'm hearing how you kind of do stuff too is like I'll prepare for it, but when I'm on and in the moment, things can sway and turn depending on my intuition and the energy that's in the room or on the Zoom, right? So I could think that I'm going this direction and then all of a sudden I feel the shift, but I'm prepared enough that I can shift it. I can maneuver through it and I know my stuff. So I think that time that I spent preparing for these um, coaching calls and things like that, it's going to allow me to meditate more and to just kind of fill out where the next step is for me and which direction I should go, who I need to serve, if that's the same people or if it's migrating into other areas. I don't know yet. So that's
Mm,
kind of where I am.
that's powerful. And I just want to affirm your decision to meditate just from a perspective lens of what I've walked through with meditation. So just a personal story, I went through a terrible, tumultuous divorce several years ago, remarried now, happy as can be. But meditation was literally what got me through it. And I keep hearing you reflecting back to your meditation. And I want to say this for the other ladies on the call. If meditation isn't something that you actively practice, I would encourage you to, because and Pamela, you can back me up if you agree with this, and I'd love to have your input here. But I truly believe once you master, not even master, but you even just learn, you don't have to even be a master at it, but learn the art of meditation and how to actually
Mhm,
do it, popping out of your thoughts, redirecting your focus and letting your brain rest for just, even if it's a 5-10 minute window,
mhm,
you can literally train your mind and you can take on anything and conquer it. It's
mhm.
amazing. And so I mean, I keep hearing you say that, and I'm completely like-minded in that phrase. Is that what you've experienced with your meditation practice?
Absolutely, yeah. And for me, and I think for anyone, like there's so much going on, social media, strategy, family, work, environment, news. I mean, the world matters, everything that's going on. Like we are just like, it's like we're hammered, you know, and having that space to just, like you said, just kind of zone out. Um, it's amazing. It's like getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep. It's for your brain, not just your body, but it's a way for you to just have nothing. you
Mm,
you you're not, you're in the moment, like you don't you're and I don't want to say you're nothing, but it's the art of nothingness. No thoughts. And of course, some people like, well, when I'm meditating, I'm thinking of 1,000 things. Well, it is an art and you have to learn how to do it, and it's going to happen. Your mind is going to wander. It's to get that your mind to come back to the nothing, where there's nothing there, you're just kind of floating. There's a story that I tell that about meditation, and it's how I feel when I'm actually in that flow of meditation. When I was younger, we lived near the beach, and I would go out into the ocean and I would sink underneath the wave as it was coming in and let the current just pull me back and forth. And the waves were crashing over top of me, but I wasn't feeling it. Right? It was just this floating kind of feeling. And that's how I feel when I'm in a meditative state. I'm just I'm just floating. Like it just feels like everything's in flow. So yes, definitely I feel like that.
That's amazing. I love that. That's totally not where I thought we would go today, but I love that we went there because literally meditation and the art of meditation. And if you guys need help, I have a fantastic beginner's meditation I can send you that like rocked my world and helped me keep my brain in focus that I listened to when I did it. But I love that, Pamela. Like that's literally one of the things that I contribute to my superpower of being able to be laser focused and knock things out at the speed of light was learning how to meditate. And so I think that that's right now what we're doing and where we're at with this is we're perpetually on a journey of greatness and becoming great. And I really feel like one of the the key tools to becoming great is leadership of self, right? And when you can learn to meditate, absolutely take control of your brain, not the other way around. Your brain doesn't run you. You are responsive, not reactive, right? You can facilitate through those things, kind of like we talked about on Monday. You work with importance, not urgence. Not that things that are important aren't urgent, but you don't let urgent things kill what's important to you in the long run. And I think meditation was the grounding principle in that. So, oh, great share, Pamela. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you for all those thoughts. Thank you for letting me just like pick your brain and riff back and forth. This was
Yeah,
fun.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to mute myself just so y'all don't hear the background of my car, but if you need me, just let me know.
Yeah, this is going to be open conversation. So I'm just going to ask you guys some questions and let you kind of riff because I feel like, I mean, I love teaching platforms, but I feel like today's kind of just Q&A. I want you guys to get value out of it. Okay, so welcome everybody. I love having everybody pop on and no worries about jumping in the middle of that conversation. If you didn't hear that beginning of that conversation with Pamela, she's absolutely amazing. And she shared some of her really cool takeaways, but some of the things that she's doing already. So anyways, go back and catch the beginning if you didn't catch that. But you guys know this. If you've ever worked with me, you know that I believe that the people who are supposed to be here in this room are going to be here. And if you're not, you're not. And we're going to calibrate to each other and we're going to attract each other. And that's just kind of the energy that we put out there. Those frequencies and those vibes are really important. And so I believe that if you're here today in this room with us, you're here for a purpose and a reason, and you were called here. And I'm so thankful to have you. And if you're catching the replay, great. We love it too. And we would love to have you in the room next time because I feel like the real value's in the room. The replay is definitely second best. But I do have some kind of questions. I have my little other screen. So if you see me looking up, I've got about 3 screens in front of me just because that's kind of how I roll my brain. It's got tabs open all the time. But I wanted to kind of go through a couple of the questions that we talked about on our Zoom call. Or I'm sorry, not the Zoom call. I did so many calls all week on the live this week. And we talked about the mental untangle and how to start tactfully and tactically implementing that and what that looks like. And so I want to open it up to anybody. Just, feel free to unmute and just chat. But who here actually took the time and wrote those prompts down and made a list and started thinking through those and had some pretty breakthrough moments just journaling and kind of thinking to yourself? Did anybody actually spend the time doing that? I saw some of you did drop it in the chat, which was fantastic as we went live. There's nothing wrong you can say here either. This is a free space.
I just came in from camping, so we're just in for the day here, but I like to print the PDF off and everything so I can go through it that way.
Okay.
So that's what I'll do before we head back out to the lake.
Well, there's no PDF with this one, Sandra.
Oh,
it's
right.
So let me tell you what phase 2 is going to be about, just in case you guys didn't quite understand it. So I'm really pushing here. I'm pushing you. I want to help you guys go to the next level. Okay. Because there's a direct link between becoming untangled energetically, mentally, and spiritually. Okay. Which we're going to walk through all of those, the process and how we do it and how you get on these calls and learn. So when we do these, I'm not going to say that I'm never going to hand you anything during this process. I don't have anything planned out yet. At the end, for those who show up, I am going to hand a very personal gift for the ones that show up and do the thing. Okay. Because I've got this in my brain. But for this, I want you to sit with the call and I want you to listen to it. And I want it to penetrate your heart and soul. This is the soul work. Okay. This is the lesson and the learning that I want to fall over you and cloak you with truth. I don't want you to feel like you have more homework to have to go do. I want it to be a space where you can sit, where you can let go of things. You can see where you need to go, and you can see what you need to let go of. Okay. So it's a space to clear space is what it is. Does that make sense? I don't want it to feel like another thing. I see you kind of looking around and thinking. Does that make sense to you, Sandra? Okay. Okay. So just take it and listen. I don't want you to feel like you've got to print something out. You got to write something down. I want you to take it in, and what you leave with is what you're supposed to leave with. That's what you were meant to take. And if there's too much, then you'll leave it and you can come back. Okay? Because this is your journey and it's personal. And as we walk through this, you can always come back, but I want you to be able to walk through it and let some of that go off of you so that you can walk in your greatness. And that's what this is really about. Does that make sense? It's going to make sense as we go further and further down this process. So just to give you some clarity on it, just sit with it and listen and let it just kind of penetrate your soul. Okay.
So Sandra, I was the same way. I was waiting for a PDF so that I had those prompts so that I could sit with the prompts like that, and not seeing the PDF ever show up. I finally, at 11 o'clock a while ago, so like an hour ago, I finally had moment to re-listen to Monday's live, and I started jotting down the prompts. I didn't jot down every prompt, and I was kind of like, why did I not catch every prompt? But what Crystal just said made complete sense. I caught what I was supposed to catch. The prompts that I jotted down, and then I really took the time to answer on my paper, even as I listened. Those are the ones that I was meant to catch.
Yep.
Yes, I answered the majority of stuff in the chat as it went along, both Monday and what I actually did miss part of it Monday. And I specifically re-listened to that part that I had missed, that chunk I had missed. But I jotted down those prompts, and I took time, because you can pause the replay, and I took time to actually like answer the ones that I jotted down. So I now that Crystal has kind of explained that, I kind of understand that, and I kind of like that, and I kind of feel, oh, okay, so I didn't miss anything. I did do exactly what I was supposed to do. And honestly, the last one was the hardest one. The last prompt was the hardest one, and if I wasn't driving, I would read it. But whatever the last prompt was that you really encouraged us to sit with, it was the hardest one and I caught it Monday live. I caught it again today on the replay, and it's the hardest one for me to sit with. I don't know why.
The one about what's
Uniqueness
to my lack of focus, and is it even true? That one, Rhonda? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good, and that's why that's why that we've structured it this way, like to that point. So phase one was all about like doing the thing, right? Like, and we all come in and we're like, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to go to greatness? Crystal, you've calibrated. You've made, you're making 6 figures, 7 figures a year, 6 figures a month, 7 figures a year. How do we calibrate to this level? There is a secret process to this, you guys. There absolutely is. But it's not the what. And that's what people get so stuck on. It's how we actually show up and how we do it. And that's kind of the magic that I want you guys, the miraculous thing that happens that I want you guys to see. And that's why I thought it was so cool when Pamela started talking about meditation. Hadn't even thought to go there, but she brought it up and I was like, whoa, that's a superpower. Like, I was like, we need to go there a little bit, like, because that's a superpower strength. So I appreciated her bringing that to the table. You can tell she's meant to calibrate. She's meant to be here, right? It completely makes sense how we are all brought into this circle and this group. But the whole point of this, like Rhonda said, is for you to catch what you need. What you need will hit you. What you don't won't. But you can go back and listen. And after you've had time to maybe process one of those prompts, you can go back and listen to another one. That's the beautiful thing about the group. It's going to live there. You won't ever lose it. You won't ever lose access to it, right? But that's also why I wanted to offer these live Q&A riffs where we can jump on and have conversations, because even if you cannot actively be present, or I can't actively hot seat coach you, you're going to hear somebody else get that coaching in that direction. And you're going to be able to hear it. And like I just saw Brandy jump in and she goes, I love this. I answer to it. And so I see Brandy's at the pool with her kids. That's where she needs to be right now. That's fantastic, because also taking time to let herself clear out a little bit while she's there. And hopefully after you leave the pool with your kids, Brandy, you can even be more present mom and maybe put your phone down and be what's important. I mean, maybe not, maybe you have other things, but I'm just telling you from that experience. So that's such a great call out. Okay. So let's go there, Rhonda. Like what story have you attached to your lack of focus? And is it even true? Have you anything you want to say or go? Anybody want to touch that one?
Like I said, I honestly, and I listened to your examples, and even in your examples, I mean, like, I was like, yeah, maybe I do that, but there wasn't one that was like, yeah, oh, there we go. Oh,
Well, and that's maybe because it's not for you. So just because it put out there doesn't mean that it's necessarily something that you've got to, it's okay for you to say, not me. It's not me, because that one's not me. I don't have trouble focusing. Focusing is not one of my troubles. Actually, one of my troubles is being too focused and completely being able to zone out everything around me.
See, okay, so saying that, once I get focused, I'm that right there. I have no idea that there's a kid screaming in the other room. What? Like, they better come to my office if they're dying and bleeding out, because I'm not going to know, because I'm so focused. However, where I struggle is like getting to that point. And I actually feel like it was almost a different prompt that I was like, there we go. That's me. I procrastinate. I can procrastinate like none other. And it's almost like I procrastinate getting focused. But once I'm focused, I'm there. And even a tornado could blow me away. And I'd be like, oh, I'm so focused on this. I don't know.
Yep. That would be the one. I was looking up at my notes that I tell myself I'm researching, but I'm really just procrastinating. Yeah, that's a thing. I think we all do that. And it's actually designed that way. Like the platforms and the work that we do, the platforms that we leverage are actually designed to steal your focus so that you get sucked into that. So that's a real concept. That's a real thing. So, and then back to what Pamela and I were chatting about, the meditation. If you struggle with procrastination and with focus, meditation is an amazing cure-all. Whew. Amazing journey. Amazing. There are some fantastic meditation for beginners that you can go listen to. Change your life. 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes. That's it. Completely change your life. Okay. Anybody else have any
10
thoughts?
minutes a day. That's what I asked in the chat was, how often do you meditate? So 10 minutes a day. Because I used to meditate every single morning, and it almost felt to me like it was just too much. Like, to get myself in that state, to stay there, it was like, by the time I was done, I was almost more exhausted than what I was feeling energized by it.
That's why I did a lead one by actually my mentor, the mentor that I currently work with is the one who turned me on to it and taught me about the path to greatness is literally what we work on. But he was actually the one that turned me on to that concept. And I go back and forth. I don't do it every single day, but man, when I was walking through my divorce and my hard time, I did it every single day because it literally was what brought me that peace. So there are some fantastic, just such good stuff there.
So if I can, this is Pamela, if I can offer a little bit of advice on the meditation thing, it is something that I honestly have to do daily now. Because my mind is always in such overload. I do I do three things, but one thing that I always do is meditation, and I actually do it a couple of times a day. And I mean, it's like sleep for my brain. The second thing I do is brain dumping, thought dumping. because again, I have so much going on that my mind is constantly in strategy mode. It's like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, but what if I do this? What if I do that? Um, I'm a recovering perfectionist, so that's where a lot of that comes from. And number three is journaling. I love to journal. When I first started journaling, it's like, because of my perfectionism, I wanted to make sure that my grammar was right. I was thinking, oh my gracious, what happens if somebody finds this and I'm dead? Like, are they going to go through this whole thing and they're like, oh, it's not written right? It's not complete sentences. It's not here and it's not there. And I did some soul searching and some self inner work and got through that. And so now I just write about anything. If you read it, it's not a story. It's about what happened today, how I felt in this moment, the joy that I felt, the pain that I felt, whatever. But journaling and having journal prompts, like Crystal has given us, is very, very helpful too. You will find once you go through this and you really start training your body that you can be safe in it and that you can slow down. The world's not going to stop when you slow down. You will find that you really crave to meditate, to journal, to do this silencing of all the noise that's going around.
That is so powerful, Pamela. And thank you for being so vulnerable and pointing out that you're a recovering perfectionist. I'm actually a recovering control freak myself. I've actually spoken that on stage and some of the presentations that I've done. And that's a real thing. And when you're like that, you do struggle with that. And I think there's a lot of people who are actually afraid to admit that and say that that's a thing, because I've been taught through my mentorship and my guidance from people that I've worked with, and I have that coach me. The goal is excellence, not perfection. And when we shift our perspective and we start looking towards excellence, not perfection, we can give ourselves so much grace. And that's literally what Pamela just spoke about. So that's really cool. Thank you for that. Jump in. That was so powerful. And just like she spoke, she can do things and she can let it down. She's not worried about when she dies if somebody finds her journal and it's not perfectly written in all the proper because I misspell words all the time in my journal. Don't even care. My mom would be like, oh, don't even care. It's my, don't even care. Maybe you can't read it, maybe you can, but it's mine. It's for me. It's my soul work. And so that's absolutely beautiful. I completely agree. Every single day, my morning routine starts with me spending an hour every single day doing my Bible work, my praying, and then my walk without any noise. So that's kind of how I've replaced my meditation, but I couldn't have got there if I didn't do that quiet meditation. But during the daytime, I'll tell you, usually around 3 o'clock, I have about a 10-minute meditation where I completely lay down in my office, close my eyes, and I focus on my ceiling fan. It's kind of a thing. They teach you some of the meditation tools, but they teach you to focus and pop out of your brain and just focus on something. It's amazing clarity. So I love where this is going today, you guys. This is so cool. So cool. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, so I want to ask another question. So, and Pamela kind of touched on this too, and I think maybe just having some thoughts in the room, but did anybody have any sort of gut intuition with the prompt of, I know I'm meant to lead, but I'm still waiting for somebody to pick me? Did anybody feel that? No. Oh, okay. That's good. That's good.
Unfortunately, most people are telling me, sit down. You've done enough.
Did anybody have any sort of gut intuition about I know this offer no longer aligns, but I keep running it because it sells? Anybody have any problems with that one? Any gut feelings?
So for me, it wasn't that it makes money because, as I said in the very beginning, I was doing my free coaching hour. So that was the thing that no longer aligns. And maybe that it's making money. It wasn't that it's making money. It's still valuable to people. But I feel like I'm in the space now, whether that's now going to be paid, a paid course or a paid whatever, or maybe I let that go for now and table it for later. I don't know, but that prompt is what stirred up the whole thing with Saturday Morning Breakfast Club and letting it go.
Good. Yeah. And I truly believe for you, Pamela, for that, it is to clear out space because you're meant to keep walking in your purpose and your greatness. And that was probably a season in your life where you needed to do that to grow, but you've probably outgrown it and you know it, but you need to keep moving forward. Then that space is meant to spend somewhere else so that you can continue your growth past your greatness. Does that feel like what it's aligned to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too that, it's again, after that stirred up in me and I started really meditating about it and trying to figure out where that's all going to go. For me, it was just like, yeah, but there's people that still need this. Well, but a lot of times what happens is value is not placed on things that are free. And I offered my coaching because I want to empower women. That's my whole thing. I came from a single parent home. My dad, there's a whole story there. My dad basically left me while I was asleep, told me that I needed to take a nap, and he left my mom and I. When I woke up, it was to her crying, and my little 8-year-old brain thought it was me. He left because of I wouldn't go to sleep. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But I started that coaching because I knew and felt that there were women out there that had gone through things in their life that they needed to work through, and that they were stuck in their business or in their mind that they couldn't succeed. And I needed to get that out there and share that. So, but it was free, right? And with, again, free things, sometimes we don't place enough value on it. And so they were here and they were there and they would come in every once in a while. And, then it was like, I forgot. It's the first Saturday every month. I forgot, so I'm kind of doing them a disservice is what I'm getting out of my meditation by offering it for free, because they're not putting enough value in it and they're not applying it to they're not making it a priority in their life to show up for themselves. It's not showing up for me, it's showing up for themselves. So yeah, that's kind of where that's all going right now.
Oh, that's so interesting. That's so powerful. And first of all, I want to just thank you for your vulnerability there to share that brief part of your story, because I truly believe that's where your greatness is coming from, is that catalyst moment in your life as a little girl, right? And I'm sure you've had to do a lot of work around that to get to where you are now. So first of all, super just honored that you felt safe here to share that today. So thank you for that. And I can see where it's really cool that you're having a lot of these aha moments, Pamela, because I completely concur with you, and I've actually experienced that myself. I've shared this with a lot of people in these groups, but I came from an MLM background, and I cultivated over $60 million in sales over the last decade, and grew a huge team, and still have a really great residual paycheck. I'm very retired from that business, but I still have a paycheck from that. Love MLM. I think everybody should do MLM. So many great things you can learn from there. Totally supporter of it. But I noticed that the coaching that I did over there, it was free for everybody and nobody wanted to come take it. But whenever I started shifting and I started putting a value on what I was offering, because I knew what I was doing. I knew it would math, and it would turn into revenue because I understand that process. And so when I did that, people that really started wanting that showed up and did the work and proved the process. But I gave it away for free for years and there was no follow through. And so it always pushed me back to that principle of what's cheap ain't good and what good ain't cheap. I mean, I know that's, a little roughly stated, but it's absolutely the truth. And if you're putting it out there for free, anybody can come. And that's not to say that we shouldn't do free gifts. Like I do lots of free gifts. I love to do free trainings. I love them. It's just part of who I am and what my work is. But I also understand if I'm to take you to the next level, there's got to be skin in the game. And I think you're seeing that too. You understand that people are going to calibrate and do the hard work, because you told us about a pretty breakthrough moment in your life as a little girl. And I'm sure you've done a lot of work around that to get to where you are now and this journey of greatness. And just by hearing some of the things you said, I know you're on a journey of greatness. So you've done the work, but people that are showing up for free aren't necessarily going to be that committed when it gets painful. But if it's not free, they're going to be committed and they're going to calibrate and they're going to do the work, and you're going to see it through with them, and you're going to walk this out. It's going to help with continuing your healing and your process, and you're going to lead them through the process to the other side, which seems like possibly that's what you're called to do. Interestingly. Does that feel accurate?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely.
So that's neat. Thank you for sharing that and being so vulnerable. That was a pretty amazing share. So I appreciate that. Does anybody have any thoughts on that they want to add in or just speak to? Okay, I want to take another one. This is kind of on that same path. So I know I have a message to speak, but I keep downplaying it. I think we all have this in our hearts rumbling around at some point.
So we know that because you called me out on it yesterday in class.
Uh-huh. Well, feel free. Keep going.
So 2 reasons that I've not shared more of my story. Part of my story is hold on just a second. Hey, I'm on a phone. Part of my story is like so embarrassing, I guess, for my parents, because of the fact that they didn't know what was going on under their own roof, and the trauma that my sister and I both suffered. And then also embarrassing in the fact that when they did find out, they brushed it under the rug. I was an adult when they found out, so let's not panic about that. No child neglect there, but it's embarrassing for my parents. So I haven't shared that part of my story except for very face to face. But then there's the later part of my story. Oh, and then the middle part of my story just ticks people off, certain people off, and they come at me and they're ugly and they're all kinds of things. And then the later part of my story, I don't know. It's uncomfortable to share for multiple reasons. It ticks people off, which I don't care about ticking those people off, honestly. But it's hard for me to process, honestly, still the second part of my story, on process and the fact of how to share it. Like, I've processed it. I know what happened. I know what God, got me out of. I know all the things like that, but process the how to share it is hard. And I know God's been asking me to share it for almost 5 years actually now. It's one of those things that I haven't sat with and honestly haven't said, okay, God, you want me to share that? You tell me how to share it. It's one of those things where I'm like, I'll get to that. I'll get to that whenever I'm not blah, 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 blah. Right.
That's what's keeping you stuck, just so you know.
Yeah.
So just so you know, and I'm not like predicting your future, I just can tell you from experience. But when we have these callings on our life like this, and we go A, B, C, and D as to why I'm not going to do it, and we justify that within our own selves, within our own self-will, instead of trusting God that He has given us a platform, a voice, a brain, and a spirit to do it with, then we stay stuck because we're marching around that mountain for 40 years in the desert. Does that make sense? Sorry, that's an Old Testament reference. But So what you've got to understand is that if you're on a journey to greatness, you're going to have opposition. People often think that greatness comes and it's just, no. Have you guys seen that tip of the iceberg analysis where it's like, it's really pretty right here, and then the rest of it's like this, all this stuff? So true. It is absolutely so true. I mean, I can attest to it. I can tell you story after story. But we really start to harness and leverage the power of our own mind when we can start looking at every single opposition as an opportunity to grow, walk in our purpose, and walk out that greatness. So if you're being called to share, now, I'm not saying go blast it on Facebook for the world to see. Maybe it's a person-to-person conversation. Maybe it's a testimony in front of a small women's group. It doesn't mean that you have to go do it in a way that's public. I would absolutely do it in a way that's very respectful to your parents and your family, right? That's super important. I would not, put very mindful boundaries around it. Start small. Figure out the pieces of the story that you can share comfortably, and then as you get used to sharing that, Rhonda, you're going to have more confirmation because people will come and they'll say, thank you for sharing this. I needed this today. And you've literally helped me, just like Pamela shared just a little brief bit of her vulnerability, right? I too had some pretty big traumas with my dad. So like I instantly made a connection with her. I'm like, oh, I see you there. Like had the same thing, right? My dad left my mom for a 19-year-old girl. Like I know what, I sort of understand what you're saying. I can feel you there, right? But I've walked through it and I've done a lot of trauma therapy around it. So I can say it pretty openly. But I've also had people come to me and say, thank you for sharing that. It's helped me learn that that's not, and they break off that attachment. You see what I'm saying? And that's again, going back to, that's why getting mentally untangled is so important. Because if we stay stuck, we keep repeating these same little lessons over and over and over again. Because I mean, I believe in God. You might be more of a universe person, and that's fine. I believe in God. I think God gives us these lessons for a reason. And then he allows us to keep going, but he's never going to give us people to shepherd over if we haven't taken the time to walk through it ourselves and learn how to receive it. Right. And often a business, especially with the business, like if you're here in this room with me, you care about the people that you're given to shepherd. Like you care about them deeply. Yes, there's probably a financial transaction, and that's okay because there's nothing wrong with receiving money for a service and for our gifts. There's nothing wrong with it. So break that off of you right now. There's nothing wrong with receiving money. There's nothing wrong with financial security. We don't have to be broke to be humble and to be thinking we can do things. I don't believe in that. But I do absolutely believe that you're here for a reason and you love your people deeply. And if you love them, you have to learn how to shepherd them properly. And when we learn how to shepherd them properly, then we get more and more, and we have that abundance come to us. But to whom much is given, much is expected, right? How does that feel, Rhonda?
It's honestly God saying, I have told you this before, child, and you did not respond to it then. And instead, you keep trying to fill what I'm telling you to do with other things. And I didn't realize that until you were talking and I was listening to the Holy Spirit. Because here's the deal is that 2 years ago, I stood on a stage with several women out there in front of me, and I shared my testimony from the childhood trauma to the middle-age stuff to what I just walked through and got out of. I shared it all, and so many of those women came to me afterwards and were like, thank you so much. I needed to hear that. All the things you just said. Um, but I said, I can't continue to do this because I can't afford to do this because, I don't have anybody paying the way. Instead of trusting God to provide the means to go continue that. There is a particular woman in our church that doesn't matter who, she's never heard me speak except for in class. She does not know my full testimony, my full story, anything. She only has heard me speak in class twice. But every single time that she introduces me to someone, she introduces me as Rhonda, the woman that has a huge women's ministry. And I just look at her like, that's not the truth. And I'm like, why does she keep saying that? It doesn't matter how many times I privately tell her, Michelle, that's not, she says it every single time. And I see now that she is speaking that over me because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, she's speaking those words. She's speaking life over you, Rhonda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so as you're sitting here, I truly believe that you need to go find somebody that you can secretly, or not secretly, one-to-one share this with. Okay? I would encourage you to record it when you share it, and then go back and listen to it. Write the pieces out that you feel comfortable with, and leave the pieces out that you don't. Okay? But share it one-to-one, not with tech. Like, this is not you and AI. This is you and a human. This is a soul thing. Somebody that you feel safe with, that you can riff with. Share your story, record it, listen to it back, and pull out the pieces that you feel safe with and start developing this testimony. Okay?
Yeah, because AI already knows the whole story. Covey already knows the whole story.
Yeah, and AI is fantastic, and we love AI. It's our great, but this is a human thing, right?
Right.
We're smarter than AI. Within AI, we use AI, but we're smarter than AI, right? Okay. How does that feel?
Honestly, it's like, okay,
This is part of your mental untangle.
Yeah.
This is part of your mental untangle. And
I tell people every single day, I'm like, if you're not going to walk in God's will, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle with knowing who you are, where you're supposed to be, your purpose, things like that.
absolutely. And so go walk it out and see what happens.
Myself speaking.
Apparently you are. Yep.
So
Okay.
Rhonda, sorry, Rhonda, I'm going to offer to be your person for you to tell your story to.
Is that Pamela?
This is Pamela, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And just remember, I am a certified mindset coach, and I'll tell you my stories if you tell me yours, and I'm always a safe place. So nothing ever. I've got stuff locked in my vault it'll go to the grave with me. So I offer to be that person for you.
Thank you. I will connect inside of the group.
Beautiful, ladies. Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Does anybody else have a message that they feel like they're supposed to speak and they're downplaying? If it's there, Brandy. You want to share? I know you're at the pool, so it might be. Yeah, you can't. Okay, no worries. Sandra, do you have anything you want to add, or does Pamela, any other of you guys have any sort of message that you feel like that God has put in your gut, and you just?
So I'm a talker, y'all. I'll be on here. If y'all want me to hush, just say, just silence yourself for a little bit, Pamela. But I just want to say that our stories, the things that we've gone through, yes, they may be hard. And diving down in that, I know sometimes what happens is it's like we're scared to reopen that wound, right? It's like if we talk about it or we verbalize it, then it's just rehashing what happened. I was the person, I get trauma from my life way so far away, it happened. And with it was a detriment because I found myself at about age 25 sitting in the middle of my bed, rocking with my knees and my arms, because it all just resurfaced. So there's things that you have to deal with, and sometimes that's trauma that you have to deal with. You might need to see a therapist. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then sometimes it's just talking to a girlfriend or talking to a friend and just verbalizing what you went through, right? But being able to tell your story not only is going to be freeing for you, but there are other people out there, just like Crystal said, there are people out there that is being put in your path that all you have to do is just be obedient and start talking about it. Like, you don't have to go down into the nitty-gritty details. Just say, I went through something as a child that really affected me in this way, or tell a story around, like I did, like my abandonment issues, right? Through my business, there was a lot that just got stuck because I was afraid to build a team or have friends because I was afraid they were going to abandon me. And where did it come from? Again, through years and years of work, inner work, and therapy, it all stemmed back to what happened with my dad. Right? But when I can tell that story, and I don't have to go into the nitty-gritty details, I can talk about the abandonment issues that I had, right? That's going to resonate with people. And so not only are we unstucking ourselves, but we're helping to get others unstuck. Our mess can be the message, right? So get ourselves out of the way. Every person here, when we hear the word ego, we think, oh, that means that you're just pious and you think more of yourself. But that's your internalness, the ego portion of it, right? When you can get ego out of the way and say, it doesn't matter what they see. It doesn't matter if I ugly cry. It doesn't matter any of that. What matters is how it's going to affect someone else. Who am I put on this earth to be of service to help along the way? Because you're a leader, whether you want to be a leader or not. You are one step ahead of somebody else who is going through something that you just went through. And just sharing your story, again, like Crystal said, just even if it's little bits and pieces of it, just get into the habit of being vulnerable and speaking it, because it's going to land. There are people around you every single day that is being put in your path for just that reason. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Pamela. It's very powerful, and I completely align. I feel like, Pamela, you've done some step work. I hear a lot of similarities there. Yeah, that's good. Brandy, I want to touch on your comment in the chat, because I know you said you can't talk. So you said, I know my husband doesn't love my MLM business, but I keep helping people because I'm called to this. Okay, that's interesting. So first of all, I actually, it was interesting. Me and my business partner actually developed a tool last week. Did you download the journal that I put out there? Did you grab that freebie that I put out? So I don't know. Like, it was just a thought. We were working through some stuff. I completely believe in the 12 steps. Like, 12 steps will set people free from a lot of different things. Like, amazing. Even if you have no issues with alcohol addiction or whatever. But there's a portion of step work that includes a lot of forgiveness and being able to go make amendments. And making amendments I'm sorry, it's like, I actually am going to quit this behavior. So there's a lot more to unpack, but I actually put together a journal. It's for your private thoughts. It's a beautiful journal to use, Brandy. It's a free gift. It's something I just built for free because I'm like, man, the world needs this. I don't know. Forgiveness is abundant. It needs to be more abundant. And we're going to go into it in the spiritual portion, because I believe the base of getting spiritually untangled is forgiveness and unforgiveness, and who we owe forgiveness to and who we need to let forgiveness go from. We can't control who comes to us, but we can control what we let go and what we let live rent free in our heads. Okay. So send me a message and I'll drop that to you. It's a free gift. And we're going to go through it. In fact, if you guys all want it, I'll send it to you. We're going to go through more of it in the spiritual side of this, because that's where I believe it all starts. But I think that for what you're dealing with MLM may have something to start there. Usually in relationships with husbands and wives and MLM, because I had this previous problem with my ex too. He did not like my MLM, even though he loved all the money. He hated, anyways. And it felt so bad, and it hurt so much. But there is a dynamic. There is a dynamic between men and women, and we have to be able to figure out there. It's probably not about the MLM. It's about some core issues between you two. And so doing some soul searching, I can't tell you what that is, but I could probably guess the fights are usually going back to, you're on the phone too much, you're gone too much. Well, I'm making money. Well, you didn't make enough money. Well, this is right. And it kind of just is she banter back and forth. It's not really about that. It's about showing up a little bit different, and women's number one need is security. Men's number one need is respect. And sometimes we have to go first to change that dynamic. And then when we do, and we start looking at it like a bank account, like we make deposits instead of withdrawals, then they start making deposits, but somebody's got to go first. Does that make sense? And so that is where some of that really big breakthrough could come from, and learning how to operate in that mindset with your spouse, because those relationships are so critical. Like we've got to honor that our covenant is literally God showing us how we our marriage is a direct mirror of how we reflect or how we interact with our Heavenly Father, right? That's what marriage covenant is designed to be. And so when we can let some of those things go and become untangled there, Brandy, like we can have some really big breakthroughs. Because I know you love your husband. We all love our husbands, or we wouldn't be married to him, right? It might be pains, but anyways, I'll get that to you. I think that'd be a good place for you to start. But I know that firsthand. Like, loved taking $50,000 to go do whatever he wanted to with, but yeah, girl talk, right? Yeah. But anyways, so I see you, sis. I see you. So, well, ladies, it's 1:00. We've been on here for an hour. I've kept you, but I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I thank you for taking the time to show up. This was good, and I appreciate the connections and the heart here. Next week, same time, Monday is going to be at noon. I'm going to go live about becoming energetically untangled, and it's going to all carry, and then spiritual is going to be the last one. And then we'll have our live Q&A session again on Wednesday. So same thing for the next 2 weeks. And then for those of you guys that are coming and committing to this and doing the work, at the very end, I'm going to have something to hand to you. It's something specifically very personal that Lindsay and I are going to put together for you guys, because we can't do it if you don't show up, because I don't know you, right? But it's pretty cool on some of the stuff that we do and we build out. So we're going to have something really cool to hand to you. But anyways, any last thoughts or anything before we hop off?
So, Crystal, I just have one quick question. It does not have anything to do with what we just talked about, but I know in the last, the Rewired, I think that's what it's called, you kind of hinted on software, and I had actually sent you a message in Messenger about it. Is that something that we're going to go over in this session of Untangled?
Yes, we are. That's actually an extra piece. It's kind of just mirrored in there because Lindsay did say. So Lindsay's actually our tech. So we have several components to KL Consulting, but Lindsay and I actually have a software platform. It's called Simply Optimize, and it's fantastic. It's really robust. It does all the things. It's not expensive. We have it very competitively priced. And if you actually are wanting to like move on that faster, just let me know. I can start a group text with you and Lindsay, and we can actually get you integrated in that a lot faster. And I can get you some pricing and stuff, because it's ridiculously inexpensive. Okay, Rhonda, you too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can move you guys faster to that if you want to.
Okay.
And then really, just so you guys know, because it's not like a secret or anything, but like from the next step, we are going to have an all-in mastermind so phase 1, and we're in phase 2 right now. So then we'll go to phase 3. Phase 3 is an all-in mastermind where we're going to have a really like dedicated sacred space where we meet every single week. We're going to work on the mindset, and then we're also going to help you build out all the tech components to make a marketing machine. Like it's going to be all the things calibrated, and you're going to have Lindsay and I every single week, and we're going to help you do it. It's called all in. And so we're just going to we're going to go all in, and we're going to run with you till we get your project done. And it's going to be an 8-week sprint. So just so you know, if you're interested, you can let me know about it. That's going to be super small. It's only 8 seats because we don't have the bandwidth to take on a lot more, but that is coming. And so that's the next step to this, just in case you're curious.
Perfect. Thank you. Is that going to be included in our Team Builder Academy membership, or is that something extra?
That'll be separate because we only have 8 spaces.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
not everybody in TBA is ready for that. Like some people are just very entry level, but there are people in there that are wanting that. And so that'll be a separate space for people who are ready to run. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. So just send me a message. I'll start a group text or chat and we'll get that rolling. But okay. Well, thank you, ladies. I enjoyed this. This was fantastic. I appreciate your time and felt like we got some cool stuff pushed through. Bye.